Okay, everyone, it's 10:01 a.m. on my side, so let's go ahead and get going. So you're coming in for a Teams fundamental presentation. We're happy that you joined. This session is scheduled for up to 90 minutes. Not sure we'll use the entire time, but um, we're going to use as much of it as you'd like. We've got a presentation planned, and then we also will take Q&A throughout. So feel free to pop in question and answers. So the way that this is, we're broadcasting this through what's called a Microsoft Teams live event. So it's a little bit different than a standard Teams meeting or Skype meeting that you might be familiar with. It's more of a one-way event. So we're presenting on our side, and then you're streaming it. And the only way to interact, everyone is mute by default. The way to interact is to ask questions through the Q&A. So if you have a question that pops up, if you'd like us to demo something, please put that in the question and answer, and we'll go ahead and we'll address hopefully all of them before this session is over. With that, quick round of introductions. My name is Adam Schau. I've got a couple of people from my team supporting me today. Both Kyron Gurel and Roy Barton are on the line as well. You'll notice some of those with joining in and answering some of your questions. We all work on the same team at Microsoft that focuses on Office 365 and especially Microsoft Teams enablement and adoption. So this is very much what we do every day. Do a lot of these types of demos. The session today is really going to focus on the fundamentals, kind of a Teams 101. So we're going to start really at the basics and go through all the basics. And if we have time at the end, we'll maybe get to a few advanced features as well. And if you have, anything specific that you want to make sure that we cover today, just pop that in the Q&A and we'll make sure we get to it. All right, so first couple minutes are going to be presentation. It won't be death by PowerPoint, I promise. Majority of it will be demo today. But I've got just a couple slides to get through first, and then we'll kick off and start going through the product together. All right, so quick overview of what Teams is. This is about as simple as I can put it. And when you think of Teams, really think of the following four things. Overall, it is the hub for teamwork. So in Office 365, it really brings the entire suite together to make it easy to work with the people that you work closely with. Teams is best used for smaller groups of people. You can have up to 7,000 people in a team, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Teams' sweet spot really is in that like 100 people and less or so. Or you can of course go higher, but really where Teams shines is smaller groups of people who are interacting daily, regularly, at least weekly, whatever, sharing files and getting stuff done together. That's really where Teams shines. When you think of Teams and what it does, it is chat, meetings, collaboration with the Office 365 suite, and then later it'll be also the home for business workflows. Think of Teams, it is a separate product, but really think about Teams as a platform for Office 365 or almost an operating system for Office 365, if you would. It really brings all of the other applications, and there's 15 Office 365 applications or something. Brings them all together in one place to do your work and get it done easy. Also to know, Teams is officially replacing Skype in the near future. So next summer is the official date from Microsoft, but many of you in your organizations, that date will probably be pulled up. The latest that Skype for Business will be around. Skype Consumer is a separate product, right? Skype Consumer is not going anywhere, but the product Skype for Business for our enterprise customers, that will be going away officially. Microsoft will be it's not like it won't be supported, it will officially be decommissioned as of next summer. So Teams really is the hub for teamwork, but also the hub for communication, chat, and meetings moving forward. Really the solution that Microsoft offers for enterprise customers for that moving forward. I would recommend you feel free to just, put me on in the background and watch if you'd like, but to get the most out of the presentation today, I'd really recommend you following along and trying stuff out with me. There's no better way to learn the product than to start using it. So if you have it already, perfect, great, just bring it up. If you don't have it easy in front of you, but you can also access Team via the browser. So if you're authenticated in on the computer that you're at, if you're at a home computer, you might not be able to, but if you're authenticated in at the computer that you're at, you can go to that Teams, aka.ms/getteams, or you can just go to portal.office.com or office.com, and you can sign in to all of your Office 365 applications, including Teams, there once you get authenticated. So I'd encourage you to go in, bring it up, and I think you'll get the most out of the presentation today if you do that. Just a quick call out that Teams is accessible, a variety of different ways. You can access it on the desktop client. You can access it via your mobile device, so like iPad. You can access it on the web. So the demo that we'll be doing today, that I'll be doing, will be actually in Edge. So it'll be web format, and I'm actually giving this webinar today through my Teams client, if that makes sense. It's all good. Apple, PC, doesn't matter. Works on everything. Works on iOS. Works on Android. It should be available. Whatever you have, it should be available. And again, Edge and Chrome are the two browsers I'd recommend for web. Firefox, I don't think is supported, and Safari isn't supported. So you do need Edge or Chrome if you're going on web. Just a quick note there. All right, so here's what we're going to be covering today, everyone. Hope you're excited. I am. All right, we got going to go through private chat, sort of teams and channels, kind of the basics, customizing channels, utilizing other Office 365 applications within Teams, and we're going to talk about getting more from meetings. That's, I think, an especially important point for probably many of you right now who are working remotely, who might not have been working remotely a month or two ago, and then also mobility and the mobile app. So let's get into private chat. So private chat is a great place to start. And if you are teaching, a colleague or something like that about Microsoft Teams, I recommend starting in chat. So here is, by the way, okay, so yeah, here's my Office 365 portal. This is my demo tenant, just so you know. This is my official work tenant. So it might not, you won't see a ton of stuff in here just because it's my demo tenant. If you go to office.com and sign in, you'll see something like this too. So you'll see some of your top applications up top, some of your recent applications, everything. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Office 365, everything within Office 365, once you're authenticated in, everything is available via browser, right? It's all in the cloud, it's all backed up. So all you need to do is log in and access it, and you can get everything that you need to in one single place. So this is my Office 365 portal here. Earlier, I clicked the Teams button, and Teams popped up. And also, by the way, if you wanted to see what applications you have available, this isn't Teams specific necessarily, but if you hit those all apps, you can see everything that you have access to, and you'll have a quick summary of what each one does. So if you don't know what Forms is, for instance, it's a survey tool, you could click that. If you click that little eye up there, it also brings you to external training. So anyway, kind of a nice place to go if you're interested in just learning more. All right, so here's what Teams looks like. All right, so here I'm in the chat function right now. So we're going to start in chat. You create a new chat by up here by that little new chat icon. So that's what I did just a minute ago, and I typed in Kyron and started a conversation with him. So you can see what it did by default is it brings up our chat that we already exited. So good morning, right? Like, hey, Kyron, thanks for supporting us today. So this is a one-on-one chat. So what's cool about this that's different than Skype is it's persistent. So in Skype, you'd be like when you're done with the chat would go away. In Teams, actually, you can scroll up. So if Karen and I, so we just started this chat this morning, but let's say we've been working together for the last year, and we've got a year's worth of history, and we just talk all the time. Well, I could scroll up actually to the very first message that we sent each other a year ago. It takes some time, right? Because it'd be a lot to get through, but I could scroll up all the way up and find that very first message if I was interested. So that'll come into handy, I think, more when we can talk about Teams. But just so you know, chat is persistent. It's there. It's always there. Whenever you click someone's name, your history with that person pops up in chat. And it's kind of easy to access the chat that you need to that way. So you can see here, this is what the chat pane looks like. It's almost like, I don't know, I like to think of it as like maybe like a text feed or something like that. But here's my stuff over here on the right. Here's Kyron's on the left. You can see when he sent it by a little that up at the top. You see if you hover over, you get some more options, right? So these are some social media type of integrations that Teams has utilized to make chat and the experience of communicating with your colleagues just a little bit more fun. So, you know, good morning, you use like a little heart or something. What the thumbs up is really nice for is it's a nice acknowledgement that you've read something, right? So if someone posts something that they want to and you want to make sure that they know that you've seen it, a quick like just shows them, hey, you know, you have. And of course, you can also just say, you know, you can reply as well. Now down here is the conversations line. And you see here, you know, I can do plain text chat just by chatting there, or I can also click this little paintbrush below and it brings up some additional options. So these are, you know, be familiar with Word or some of the other Office suites. So like a lot of these capabilities would be familiar, these features would be familiar. I can bold stuff, right? I can italicize stuff. And by the way, you know, shortcuts work like Control B for bold, Control I. You can do bullets if you want. You can do lots of stuff. You can add in links. You got a lot of different options there. So that just makes it nice if you want to, you know, having like a quick chat one-on-one, it's just easy to go in there and type enter. But if you click that and pop it up, then it's, you know, enter won't actually send it. It just makes a new line in my text. And then when I'm ready, I just hit this little, I call it the airplane. I don't know what we officially call it. I call it the airplane. And you click that, and then it pops out. Now, once I've actually sent the chat, like let's say I didn't mean to send that, this little ellipsis up here gives me a few different options. I can actually go through and edit it. So let's say I made like a typo or something, I could do that. Or I just didn't want to send it at all. I hit delete. And then on his end, he'll never see that chat, assuming that he wasn't there the second that it was posted. So you have some cool features like that. In addition, you'll see here, I can also upload. This little attachment button is uploading files. So that's kind of cool because now I have a really easy way, if I want to just share a file with one other person, a really easy way to upload it and start working on stuff together. So let's do that. So, you know, now that you mention it, I have been working on this bring your pet to work day policy, right? Who doesn't like that? So I'm say, hey, Kyron, I've drafted this up. Take a look. So you can see this is what's uploaded from my OneDrive. And I think it was my OneDrive, that or my desktop. That there, and I click little paper airplane. And now I've shared a document. See, this little notification came up. I've shared pet policy with Kyron. Pretty cool. So you'll notice up here at top, there's a few different tabs that you have in the chat additionally. So now you actually notice this chat is highlighted. So this is the category that we've been in so far. But if I go over and I click files, you'll now notice that what I just uploaded now pops up into files. So this is pretty cool too. Okay, so what happens if I click that? Now we're opening up the Word document directly in Teams to view it. So I'm not editing it yet. To edit it, I do this button up over here. But here is a view of what I uploaded. I just made this real quick before the meeting. Who doesn't like, you know, a cute dog? So anyway, let's say I want to actually start working this with him together. I click I can click edit, or if I click the down button here, you see I have a couple different options. So this is really nice. So no matter how I decide to edit it, like let's say I wanted to edit in I really like the full version of with the Word client that I have on my desktop. No problem, right? I can click that. Let's say I don't have that installed and I want to use a browser for some reason. I prefer that. No problem. You can do that. Or I can just edit directly in Teams, which is the default if you click the edit button there. So what's cool about Teams is it's really trying to limit the amount of what a psychologist would call like context switching in your day-to-day work. So the problem that it's really solving for is before, you know, you'd have a lot of different places in Office 365 that you'd go to get work done. So let's say I pull up my SharePoint site and I'd look at a file, and then I'd pull up Skype and I'd text somebody about the file, or even worse, I'd send a hard copy version of that file over email to someone, and now we've got different versions of files that we have to name, with different endings, and we got to make sure they all come together at one point once people share it, right? What Teams is really trying to solve for is just bringing that all together in one place, making it easy. So you can see how it does this with this Word document here. So you can see that up here, this shows that Kyron is in the document with me. Awesome. He says this little thing here, see I hovered over that, it says Kyron. That just means that that's what he's doing. I can edit it as well. Puppy pick, yep, oh, sounds good, right? And he can start editing it. He can edit it now, he can edit it later, and he can, like, let's say he takes a look at it. You see this little comments actually feature up here. Let's use this one. This is the conversation tab in Teams that we already have together. So if you notice, these are what we're in our chat already, right? So this is just sort of a mirror image of that. And then let's say he made some changes and I said, hey, I really like the changes. Thanks. Close that up, close this out, and you'll see in our chat that popped up at the bottom automatically. And I can see that Kyron is typing a response. So this is just a really nice, easy way to save something. On the back end, for those that are curious, this is actually saved in OneDrive. So in my OneDrive, maybe I can actually show you here. There's a folder that is created by default. There it is, Microsoft Teams chat files. So this is a folder that's created. It'll just sort of pop up in your OneDrive, on its own. And if I click that, I can see some of the files that I've saved with people. So this one, I can see this pet policy is what I uploaded. It shows that I saved that about a minute ago when it was last updated, and it was modified by Kyron, how big it was, and that it's shared, right? Pretty cool, pretty cool. So what this is, it took a copy of actually what I had. So I had it in my OneDrive or wherever it was. When I posted up here, it didn't move it. It actually created a copy of this, and now we're using that version to collaborate together with. So it didn't actually mess with my local version, but it did post it up and easily shared it. Cool. All right. So that's the documents feature. You'll also notice there's some fun stuff included in Teams. So there's emojis, giving big thumbs up for the help. There's GIFs, so some of the stuff that we did earlier, right? This good morning, coffee, whatever, that's under this GIF setting. Coffee, need coffee. And then also stickers and stuff like that. If I wanted also to schedule a quick meeting, I could do that here too. So, the emojis and GIFs, I know that's for those of you not using Teams and stuff already, that might be like a little, I don't know, some of my federal customers are a little uncertain about that when they start using it, but it really is a nice way to communicate nonverbal communication to people, especially when you're working remotely. So especially right now, when a lot of us, are used to being in an office together and we find ourselves at home, the smiley faces, the thumbs up, it's a nice way to just sort of communicate something with someone else without actually having to type it in, right? So much of our communication is nonverbal. So I'd encourage you, not like you have to, if you're not comfortable with it, ease into it, but I encourage you to start using them just a little bit as a communication tool, if anything else. You'll also notice up here in chat that I have the ability to schedule a meeting with Kyron. Like, let's say I wanted to schedule a meeting with him later on in the day. I could click that and make that happen. So he'd be included by default there. But also, what was really nice about Teams is it's a great tool to sort of ad hoc work with people. When you're in an office, right, people just kind of pop into desks and say hi and, kind of talk to you on the fly. Teams is really trying to make that experience virtually. So you see up here, I have the option too, if I wanted to video call him or to audio call him. I'm not going to do that this second, but just so you know, let's say we're typing back and forth. We have a lot to say. It's just easier to talk. Just click the video chat, boom, pop up, and the two of us can have a quick 5-minute chat if we need to, right? Just kind of makes it easy. see, Kyron, Roy, anything else you'd want to call out on individual chat?
There was a question, excuse me, about opening, how you open the document again.
Sure. Let's go through that real fast. So I can do it a couple different ways. You'll see it actually posting this nice little image when I posted the file up. I could click that directly. And then this is the view version of the document. So I actually can't edit this right yet, but I can view it, which is pretty cool. So let's just say I need to look at something real fast, just kind of pulls it up. Then if I want to edit it, I can click this, and by default it edits it in Teams. Or if I want to edit it in my local Word client that's on my desktop, I click that and open in Desktop app. That's how you do that.
Yes, and then for the second half of the question, in terms of us editing together, the reason why he's able to see me on there as well is because I also have the document open on my device as well. So that's where it's showing us both in the same document, where you see the cursor signifying that I'm present.
Great call out. Yeah. So, if we had to chat with like 5 people or something and only one other person was actively editing the document, that one person would be the only person that would show up there. So actually, that's a great transition into group chats. So one thing about chats, I probably should have said this at the very top, chats are private, right? These are totally private. So anything that you do in chat, no one else knows about besides the other people in chat. No one but Kyron has this feed together and this file, right? Now, I guess Kyron could like download it and share it with somebody, but I'm just saying, for this chat, totally private. Now, so it's a nice way if you just want to have kind of a one-on-one chat, but sometimes also you want to have a small group chat with people and also keep it private. You just don't want to broadcast something out to the whole agency or your whole team, but you do want to kind of just get some stuff done. So let's see, I'll add Kyron, or not Kyron, I'll add Roy to this. Roy, are you in there? Roy's not in there. We'll add Abby to this group chat. So now you see what happened is it shared, it started a new group chat for the 3 of us. And that just is sort of, kind of just an easy way to kind of get a small chat going. Now, if I wanted to actually have more than 3 people in it, like let's say I want to add Abby and Roxy. Or yeah, actually, let's do it this way. So here we have like a chat that we had before. We have 4 people in the chat. Let's add Deborah. And so this nice little pop-up happens. So because we already have a team chat going and we already have conversation going, and because we want to add someone new to the conversation, Teams sort of registers that and says, hey, do you want to include all of the history that you've had already together? Or do you want to just bring that person in and have like a fresh chat? And that makes a lot of sense because sometimes you might be chatting about something that's confidential and then you bring another person in and you don't necessarily want to share it, or maybe you just chat about something today and you just want to share what there is today. So in this scenario, let's say I want to bring Deborah in and I only want her to have visibility over stuff that we've talked in the last day. I could change that to 2 or 3 or whatever I needed. I'd add her there. And now what that does, it says a little notification down here. A little notification down here that Adam has added Deborah to the chat and shared chat history from the past day. So everyone in the chat now knows that 1, Deborah has been added, and knows that 2, that Deborah has history from yesterday, but not before. So this team chat is now, if I click this little button up here, you can see who's in it, right? Got Abby, me, Bonnie, Deborah, and Roxy. Oh, I should have added Kyron, obviously. There you go. And let's include all chat history for him. We trust Kyron. So another cool feature here is you see is called the gold team. So you can actually name your chat. So like let's say if you have like a small group of people and you work together all the time, and it's just like a small chat group you have, or maybe it's just colleagues that you want to keep in touch with and it's more than one person. You can name a chat whatever you want, save it, and then it comes up as that. So now I know who the gold team is. It's these 6 people. And over here, the name of it changed from whatever it was before to the gold team. And whenever I want to get there, I can click it. And let's say I just interact with this group of people all the time. I can click this, I can click pin, and now I have this group always at the very top of my chat queue. or my chat list for easy access. So let's say I'm just always emailing, or not emailing, chatting with this group of people. That's an easy way to find them. Yeah, so I think that's the basics of chat. Roy or Kyron, if there's anything else that people are have questions on, please feel free to jump in. I think that's all on chat that we've got for today. And moving on to the next.
There's a bunch of questions. I'm scanning them real quick.
Okay. Yep. If you want me to. So we haven't even gotten to actually Teams yet. So let's talk Teams. One of the reasons we start with chat is a lot of these features that are in chat, a lot of those same features exist in Teams. So you'll see a lot of crossover between the two. So over here, in this left rail, we had chat selected, right? Let's go down and select Teams this time. So now you see that this changed. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that I'm a part of, okay? Think about teams as separate groups of people. So each one of these teams is a separate group that's working together. Yeah, and then within each team, if I click that little down arrow, by default, every team has a general channel, and these little things are called channels. By default, every team has a general channel, and then to this team, we've added a couple of channels as well. All right, so a team, one thing to know about teams, everyone in the team has access to everything in the team, okay? All of the chats, all of the files that are shared, everything that is done within that team is shared with everyone in the team. And that holds true for every channel. So everyone in the team has access to the general channel, everyone in the team has access to the updates channel and all the files that are there, everyone on the team has access to the water cooler channel. Each of these channels are separate workspaces within the team to delineate projects or work, or maybe sub-teams if necessary. So really what these are just separate workspaces. It's just keeping the communication in the team clean. So if all you had was one place to post stuff up and you had different projects going on, it get kind of cluttered, right? You kind of get lost in what one person was doing for one project versus the other. Well, what's nice about this is you can just have separate channels to cover different projects. So in this general channel, that's really just a space typically where you would just kind of generally chat with people and talk, generally, right? And then we have this other channel, updates. There's not much in there, but this would be a place, let's say that everyone on the team provides, updates, or maybe you have a channel like around an audit coming up, the 2020 audit, and you'd have all the work that's done within that audit. Now, what you'll notice when I click these different channels is the conversations are completely different, right? So not only are the conversations different, but you see these are the posts. And then if I click files, these are the files in this channel. If I go to this one, these are the posts, which are different, and I don't have any files because we haven't posted any up yet. So everyone in the team has access to every channel, but every channel is a separate workspace is really the point here. And so every team is a separate group of people. So this COVID work from home team, if I click manage team, this is how, as I'm actually not an owner of this team, so I can't show you all the features. I'll show you in a different team. But here I can see who's in the team with me. So the owners of this team are Roxy and Abby, and the members of the team are Bonnie, Bob, and myself. Now, when I click on this marketing team, it's going to have a separate group of people. For marketing team, it's just Abby and myself. I'm an owner on this one, and we actually don't have any members yet. So let's add Kyron to this one. We want to get some more people in the mix. Add that little click add member. Whoops, Kyron. Add, turns for a second, and then Kyron's in. So now you see that Kyron is listed as a member under here. You also see over here it says member versus owner. An owner can promote a member to be an owner of the team if they'd like. All you have to do is click that and click owner. So management, people management of the team is really easy to do. You add people in and you can promote them to owner or member. There's really only those are the only two categories for management of a team. The owner, the only difference between the two are owners can change the settings of the team, and I'll get to what the settings are here in a minute. and they can also let people in directly. So if I go to this COVID one, and Kyron's not in it, so I want to add him to it. Because I'm not an owner, I have to hit this, before it just added Kyron directly. Now it actually says send request. So what's happening here is the request just got sent to the two owners, Roxy and Abby, to let Kyron in the team, but you'll notice Kyron isn't in there yet. They have to go in and approve Kyron before he can join. So that's really the main difference between owners and members. One can approve and add people directly, and then there's some settings as well. So if I go into managing, just to really quickly show you some of the settings, you can actually change some of the stuff in the team, like you can add a team picture. I should have done that earlier. I can have, there's different permissions that you can set for members and guests. Teams does allow for external guests to be invited, but your organizations might not. So it's just something you have to check. And then some, you can actually turn off gifts if you want. I don't know why you'd ever want to do that, but you can actually change that and that kind of stuff. So, all that stuff's available there. You can lock down channels if you want. You can have, enable everyone in the team to create channels if you'd like or not. Okay. So anyway, so that's just a 101 on team management. So back to kind of overview of the team, my recommendation and best practice for managing teams. And when you're thinking about, what teams do you need for your organization, how many teams, that kind of stuff. I'd recommend fewer teams with more channels over more teams. So if you have a group of people that you work with, say a group of 20 people or whatever, and you have a bunch of different work streams and projects that you're all doing, but it's that same 20 group of people, I'd recommend having one teams group with a bunch of channels underneath it instead of separate teams for the separate group, for the separate work streams. The reason is it just, the more teams you have, it starts to get a little bit cluttered. So it's just a little bit easier if it's all in one place, and it's also easier to collaborate. It's a lot easier for that group of 20 people to, have awareness of everything that's going on when there's channels under one group, as opposed to having to go to all, different teams. Okay, so less teams with more channels is the recommendation. If you want to create a team, you go down here, you click this join or create a team. And what it does is it pops you up into this. So this shows some of the teams that I could join. Teams can be public or private. By default, teams are typically private. But you can also create public teams. So that'd be great. Like, I'd actually recommend if you want to get the word out about teams in your org, set up a public team and then put up some materials on how to use teams and that kind of stuff. Just post them in there and have like a public team called Teams Resources, something like that. And then anybody can go and join and learn more about teams if they'd like. So if team creation is enabled, again, maybe not all of it, it might not be for every one of you, but if it's enabled, you click the join or create a team, hit create team, and it's pretty easy to create a team. You can click build a team from scratch. That's the easiest way. I'm not going to go through the other option right now. You choose if it's public or private. So people need permission to join or anyone in the org can join. Let's do private. Give the team a name. So let's do audit planning or something. Create that. Nice work. Just that simple. And now it's all about adding members to it. So I definitely want to have Kyron in there. And let's get Abby in there too. Add them both. Boom, easy. Let's make Kyron an owner. Easy, close. And now I have this audit planning team right here and a general channel, where I can start getting work done. So now we have a separate team. Kyron can invite people directly. Abby can suggest more people to be added to it, and we can start doing work together. Pretty much just that easy. All right, hey, I'll stop there for a second. Any questions around teams, Roy or Kyron, that you want to call out? All right.
There's a question here. Is the person who created the team the moderator?
Mm-hmm. By default, the person who creates the team is the owner, and then that person can add anyone else as an owner if they'd like.
And then there's a couple of asks as well to show again how to change a member of a team to an owner of a team.
Sure. Basically, go over here where it says member, you can change that to owner. And let's say I'm an owner and I actually don't want Abby to be a member anymore. Maybe she changed roles or something like that. I can go back up here and make her a member again. Just that easy.
Sweet. And then I'll do one more here as well. And then it says for all of the teams names that appear on my left, those are only ones that I'm a member of, right? I only see the teams names that I'm a member of. Is that right?
Great question, and that is correct. You will only see teams that you're a member of. If you click this, if you want to see other teams that are in the org that you might want to join, that's where you click that join or create a team down there. And then you'd see some other ones. Some of these might be public, right? Like this 2008 safety audit, that's a public one. I could join that directly because it's public. All of these are public, yeah. So this is showing the public teams that are available for me to join if I wanted to in the org. But I'm not a member of them yet, so they don't show up. And as soon as I joined, let's do, no, ticketing report audit. Let's join that one. Boom, pops up. Now I can see whatever has been, in that team.
God, I was gonna pull one more here. It says, and I think we've gotten this one a couple of times. Is there a way to delete a chat or team?
There's a way to delete both. Yeah, you can't. So a chat, the ellipses over on the side. If you click that and click delete, that chat will go away. And so if somebody hasn't seen that chat, they'll never know it existed. You can delete a team. That gets into kind of, when you delete a team, it's not technically deleted completely from the system. That's kind of more of like a Office 365 management question. It's actually, retained for a while afterwards, depending on how your organization configures it. But if you want to just delete it from your teams, click that, delete the team. Or if, let's say I want to just leave the team and kind of let it go, I could just do that and the team would disappear, but everybody else would still have access to it. Or I could click down here, delete a team, and that completely deletes it. Kind of gives you this, are you sure? Click and delete. Cool. So let's get into customizing some of the channels and getting some work done. So you see here, I don't know, it kind of showed this already, but some of the files and stuff. So here you have different people that have been posting and some of the files. So let's kind of go through how you might want to do that to make it easy. So let's use this work from home, and let's go into the water cooler channel. And let's say I wanted to start working a file with people. So this one doesn't quite make sense in this scenario, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Let's say I want to browse and upload a file to start working with the group. So let's use this. So this was actually, imagine you're maybe in the office for this one. This was a form to pull out there just to see it, sort of poll people where you want to go to lunch. Upload that, type that in there. Now everyone in this team has access to this. And also you see that the file again posts up into the files channel by default. This is a mirror image of SharePoint Online. So with every team site, you have an associated SharePoint site that is behind it. OneDrive is powering the group chat actually, and then this is powered by SharePoint. So whenever you set up a team, you have a file repository that you can start using immediately to collaborate with people and co-author, which is very cool. Also, you have different options directly here, right? I could start a new folder to kind of keep things organized. I don't know, test folder. And then within here, I can actually, right, if I wanted to, I could like move this over to the test folder if I wanted to. Easy to do that. I can upload stuff. I can get links to files if I wanted to send it to somebody for some reason, but unless they're part of the team, they wouldn't have access to this specific file. And then I can even open it in SharePoint Online. So let's say you really like the SharePoint Online view for whatever reason. I don't think you ever have to do this, but just so you know, you can click this, and then you're probably pretty familiar. If you're familiar with SharePoint Online, this is pretty much a team site, right? In SharePoint Online, just sort of a different view of it. And all of the changes that happen in Teams occur in this backend automatically. Let's get out of there. Let's say this is a really important form and I want to make sure that it's available to the team all the time. So actually I got this cool feature where I can pin it up to the top. So right now I've got my conversation tab, I have my files tab, I have a wiki tab, which is, think of that as sort of a team notes tool where people can just hop in and add sections and type in team notes if they want to. That's what the wiki is. Also, if you're a manager, you might use that for your standing operating procedures or as a resource repository, that kind of thing. But let's say I really want to add this file up top to pin it, because it's really important and we're all, as a team, going to be using it all the time. So I click the ellipses over here, go down to make this a tab, and then you'll see that now tab exists on the team forever until someone takes it down. So right, so now I have posts, files, wiki, and this test form. If I click the test form, you'll see the view looks very similar to what it looked like before when Karen and I were in chat. I can view it, and then if I want to edit it, I click the edit doc. And now I can edit it directly in Teams. So this is pretty cool, right? I'm in my browser, all this is in the browser. I'm in Teams in the browser, and then I'm in the Excel file within Teams. So it's cool how it layers like that. And I can edit it directly right in here. Cool. So that's, I really call that out. This is especially useful if you're like preparing like a PowerPoint deck with people, and you're, like, or some kind of document, maybe a legal document, whatever it is, where you have a lot of collaboration and people are kind of constantly updating it. Very, very nice feature to add this as a pin to the team, just to make it really easy for people to see. Now, what else is really cool? So this is the really powerful thing about Teams, is you can pull in other applications to do work on together too. So if I click this little plus up here, before I click it, just kind of a heads up, what you'll see here is all available in GCC, but your organizations might not have enabled all of it, right? But anyway, so if I click these are some of the tabs that are available that are Microsoft apps that we can use and pull in directly in the team to do some work. So you see, just kind of quickly go through these, just so you know what they are. Document library. This is if you will have an existing SharePoint site, like an on-prem SharePoint site, and if you want to pull in files just to view them, it won't migrate anything, but it will show you a view of files from a SharePoint document library if that's useful. You have Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. So just like I pinned that Excel tab, you can do the same thing with PowerPoint documents, and you can do the same thing with Word documents. That's what those are for. If you want a team notebook, I don't know how many of you use OneNote, but OneNote is an excellent notebooking tool. You can tab that up there and have a team notebook, so that's shared with everybody. So you'd have just a place where everybody can pop in notes, add sections, pop in notes, and just kind of keep track of everything in one place. Planner, I'm going to show you in just 1 second. It's an intuitive task management tool. Power BI. If your organizations use Power BI, you can pull up, this is a really handy feature to post up dashboards directly into Teams. So like, let's say you want to publish a dashboard and you don't want to actually give people the ability to edit it, but you do want to publish it so people can view it and actually manipulate it in real time. You can publish up a dashboard and that comes up as a tab, which is pretty cool and handy. You can add a SharePoint site if there's a SharePoint site that you use all the time. You can link to that. You can link to Stream, which is the, think of that as your internal YouTube for your organization. And then Wiki I showed you, which is that note tool. So let's take a second and talk a little bit more about Planner. And if you have questions about any other of these, pop them in the Q&A and we'll make sure we address them and demo whatever we'd like. But I do want to just call out Planner quickly. So in this one, I already had the setup under action tracking. I basically click this and I click Planner, and I just named it actions or whatever, and I click save, and then it created it. I've already created it, so I'm not going to create it again, but just imagine I did that. And then you'll see that this action tracking tab pops up. Cool. So what's this? So this is, it popped in Planner directly into the team. So Planner, think of it as like a digital Kanban board for those of you who are Scrum Masters and that kind of thing, or those of you who use sticky notes on a board and move sticky notes around. That's kind of the idea here, is each one of these tasks are a unique task on its own, but they're easy to move tasks around and organize work that way. So I can add a task by clicking that there. Let's say, let's see, Kyron needs to update policy, whatever policy. I'm going to give him a due date of Monday, give him the weekend. gonna add in, oh, Kyron's not a part of this team, so I actually can't add him. So that's a good call out. Only people that are in the team have access to this, right? Just like everything else in the team, only people in the team have access to this. So he's actually not part of the team yet. So instead, let's have Bonnie do it. So we're gonna have Bonnie update the policy by Monday, add that as a task. And now I have this new task here called update policy, right? And I can move this around just like the other ones. If I click it, it gives me more detail as well. But essentially, this is a task that now Bonnie has Bonnie knows about that a lot that I've tasked her with. Now, typically, hopefully talk to somebody before you task them at that, although that doesn't always happen. If I click this, there's some more details in here as well. I can add a description of it. I can add a checklist. This is really handy if I have like 5 different things that I want to make sure that Bonnie does before she marks as complete. I can pop in different items in the checklist for her to do. Then it'd be up to Bonnie to actually go in and update it, right? Whether progress has started or not. I can put the priority if this is really urgent or if it's important or just low priority or whatever. Bonnie can go in and say, hey, I'm going to start it tomorrow, finish it on Monday, right? And there it is. So anyway, I won't get too much into Planner, but I guess the takeaway here is it's a really nice way to keep track of tasks, make sure things don't fall through the cracks. And it's one of those things where if you use it, it works. So I'd recommend if you want to start playing around with Planner, it's a great tool to use for like a weekly meeting that you have. If you have like a weekly meeting where you touch base on what different activities that people are doing, it's a great tool to use for that. And if you come back to it weekly and use it weekly, then people will tend to update it and start using it more and more. So that's really the power of the Office 365 of Teams. The way that really the power of this is, one, it brings everything together, makes collaboration easy, makes co-authoring easy, but it also brings in the other files to the other Office 365 products together in a way that really makes it easy to work. So this is a great example of that. Any questions, Kyron, Roy, any questions about other applications or about Planner or about, tabbing so far? Good?
There's a question here about if you have an existing SharePoint, can you link that to a team that you've created?
If the SharePoint is in SharePoint Online, which is, so it might not be. But if it's available in SharePoint Online, the answer is you could. If it's in SharePoint, if it's not, the answer is you probably can't easily. You probably have to migrate stuff over. I would, in general, suggest that think of Teams as kind of a new white space for you and your groups to start working together. Move stuff over that you really work on together. But if you have a heavy SharePoint site that you use right now, unless it's in SharePoint Online, it's going to be hard to transfer that over to Teams. It'd actually take a full migration. Certainly possible. You can migrate stuff over, but it's not an easy one step.
There's a question here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Roy.
Can I import my task list from OneNote into this feature?
That's a good question. You can't directly import it that way. No, not that I know of. You might be able to actually create like a flow to do something like that on the back end, but no, there's no easy way. What you can do in Planner is you can export into Excel. Like let's say that I think I should go to if I go here to Planner, this is my Office 365 portal, right? Here's my Planner, work from home scheduling is what I just created, so that pops up. If I go up here, I can actually export it to Excel, export plan to Excel, or I could also copy the plan. So that's not answering your question. I think the answer is no, but what you can do is once stuff is in here, you can export it to Excel if you want.
There's also another question here, Adam. Can you bring up a website in a chat or a team?
Yeah, you can. Great question. So let's say I want to go to the Office Training Center. Right here. And I want to make sure my team knows about it. I have a couple of ways. One is I can just pop it in like that. The second way is I can actually use link. So I can actually do this and click link and link it there. So either one could work. And then it'll post up, and then they'll make this nice little page there. People can hop in and do that. There's also, the feature is enabled in here, but there's also a feature, a website tab. So some of you probably have the ability to add a website directly to your team as well. If you click that and then add in the URL, it would add that website tab as a tab, and basically use Chrome on the back end to show the image of the website directly there. Okay, cool. Any other questions, just let me know. Hey, just quickly, I think I already went through all of this, right? The team's capabilities and levels is just like a quick summary. I won't go through all of it. But on the team side, you got like I'm in presence. We're about to get to meetings. You have the teams, which are private workspaces to chat, share, and co-edit. You have channels, which are under the teams to separate by work stream and project. I haven't gotten to search, actually. Let's get to search actually right after this. And then some of the apps that I recommend you checking out. Planner is what we just went through. OneNote, really good for shared team notebooks. Stream that's great for recording meetings. You can do simple video editing with it. You can post and share videos. You can create channels, kind of like an internal YouTube for your organization. The website tab actually wasn't in there. That's the one you can link to external sites. Power BI for dashboards, and then you can add forms as well. I'd recommend that as a cool survey tool. All right, so let's talk. Yes.
Can you limit who participates in Planner? If we have a team of 35, but then sub-teams by regional grouping, should we use a different channel by subgroup?
I guess the question comes down to how much you trust your colleagues. So what you could do, what I recommend, is just creating different planners within the different channels. So you'd have like a different channel for a subgroup, and then you could create a planner for that subgroup like that. But everyone in the team will have access to all of the channels and all of the tabs and everything within the channels. So, as long as you're okay with that, as long as you're okay with everyone having access to it and visibility of it, I would say just pop it in that separate channel. It's probably the easiest way to do it. If you want a private space completely, then you probably need a private team, or you can go to Planner and create a new plan on your own without creating a team. Just have a separate planner that's private.
And within Teams, can you demonstrate how to get to the Planner app again, please?
Sure. Plus button up here. That's how you can add any Office 365 app to the team. Planner's this green one. Click that. I type in the name of it. I can choose to post about it or not. Hit save, and then it creates it. Great questions. All right, next let's move into meetings. So meetings is an important topic, and I want to make sure we cover this and take questions on this, right? Because a lot of you, I'm sure, are leaning on remote meetings right now, and Teams really does have a different way of scheduling meetings and working with meetings than you might be familiar with in Skype. So let's get into it. First, a couple of concepts. The way that Teams is built is for meetings to be end-to-end. So in Skype, meetings are really separate, right? They're separate instances. It's like a separate space that pops up. And then when the conversations that are in there, it then is stored in your Outlook, right, inbox, and you need to go to Outlook in a folder to find what the conversation history was. And then once you exit out of that meeting, it kind of just goes away. You know what I mean? Teams really is more of like a holistic end-to-end solution for teams. And what do I mean by that? Once you create a team, that bridge is created and that team can start working together immediately, even before the meeting happens. So, how that might be handy is you might have a meeting set for next week, and you want to make sure that people do something before the meeting. Like, let's say there's a document that people need to review before the meeting or something like that. You can post up into, schedule the meeting, post the documents directly in there, because in the meeting you can access, you have room for chats and files, which we'll show here in a second. And you can make a quick comment, hey everyone, make sure to read this document before the meeting. Only people in that meeting that were invited will see your comment. Only the people in that meeting invited will have access to that file, but they'll all get notified that one, you created the meeting, and two, they have something to do before it starts. Okay, then moving down to this second thing here. During the meeting, you've got all the tools that you would expect from Skype and more. So Teams is at parity and past, right? So all the investment is at Teams at the end of the day from a Microsoft perspective, and all the new cool features are coming out in Teams. So during the Teams, you have everything that you need, right? Like video chatting, using different devices to connect, sharing your screen, everything that you'd expect with a virtual meeting. And you also have some new features too as well, like blurring your background and stuff like that we'll get to. Now, after the meeting happens, you also have that same bridge that you can go back to as an instance in time, where you can go back to and see where the chat was, see what files were shared during the meeting. If meeting notes were taken, you can see what the meeting notes were in that bridge as well. So it really does make the whole series end to end in a really nice but slightly different way than Skype. And especially if you have a recurring meeting, then you kind of go through the cycle let's say if a weekly meeting, you go through the cycle every week. So every week you'd have the meeting would occur, you'd have people kind of collaborating, sharing stuff, talking after the meeting. And then you'd have the meeting again, and then everything from the previous week, including a recording, if you recorded the meeting from the previous week, is all in that same thread. It's all kept in one space, which makes it kind of consolidated and nice to access. Here's what Teams looks like. Just kind of quickly, there's a couple of ways that you can schedule a meeting. You can schedule it directly in Outlook, which we'll show here in a second. You can also schedule it directly in Teams. I'd recommend trying out the option in Teams if you're not familiar with it yet, but Outlook works really well too. So let's look at it a little bit and chat through it. So the next thing down here on the calendar feature is the calendar feature on the left rail. So here are my teams. Boy, I wish my my week was this free as my demo tenant is. But let's, you see I have a couple different options. So this is a mirror image of Exchange Online, of Outlook. So this is exactly the same as, so in this demo tenant, this is my calendar. This view is exactly the same as the view that I see in Outlook. Whoops, where am I? Anyway, oh, here it is. So those are all those meetings that you saw in my calendar that all popped up there. So it's a mirror image of Outlook. It's just importing Outlook in, and anything that you do here will sync between the two. So if you add a meeting here, it'll sync into your Outlook calendar. If you add a meeting in your Outlook calendar, it'll sync to this view as well. Okay, so that's the first thing to know. I have a couple different options here. Of course, I can here's my today. You can kind of do different views if you want. You can look at different weeks, and you can do today versus whatever, work week versus day. You can change up the views. Up on the top right, I have the ability to meet now. This is nice if you just kind of want to test out your meeting features. You click that and you see this is what we call on the team the powder room. So this is your chance to get everything set up on your team the way that you want, or sorry, in your meeting the way that you want. So it says choose your audio and video settings for this, right? Well, first of all, I could change the meeting title if I wanted. This is my camera, so I can turn my camera off or on. I can mute myself or not. I can choose which devices I want to use. I don't have this set up right now, but anyway, you could see here over on the device pane, you could see here, I'll show this. It should look like this, which is, whoops. Sorry about that, everyone. Just 1 second. You can see here when you click devices, I'm using my Jabra Link 370 headset. If I wanted to change to my PC mic and speakers, I could do that there. If I want to change to, I have a little speaker phone, I could do that there. That's my audio device. My speaker is what I hear from, right? My audio device is what I hear from. My speaker is what I talk into. This is my mic. So right now I'm also using my Jabra Link 370, but if I wanted, I could even change it up. So it just depends what your setup is at home. You could have, you could listen in through one device and talk through a different device if that's easier for you for whatever reason. I can also kind of test if my audio is working right there. It's showing what my volume level is on my mic. Oh yeah, sorry. The speaker is the audio, microphone is the mic. Sorry about that. And this is just which device I want to use. Yeah, sorry. And then camera, this is if I have a couple different cameras at my home office. I'm using, this is just the camera that I'm using right now, right? And I could change that too. So that's what would pop up there. It's just not working over here for whatever reason. Also, if I'm in a room with people, which I know is probably not as necessary right now, but if I'm in a room with people and I still want to join a meeting, but I don't want audio, this is a handy feature just to make sure you don't get feedback, right? So if I click that, it turns all of my audio off, make sure that I can hop into the meeting and not get any feedback or not give any feedback, for anybody else. Also, this might not be enabled for all of you, but if it is, you have the ability to dial out too. So if I wanted to, I could click phone audio. Yeah, and then it goes in, asks me to type in a phone number. I put in my number there, and then it calls my phone. So it turns audio off for the meeting, but it calls my phone for audio. So that's a cool feature as well. Now, once you're actually in the meeting, you can see here, I have a couple different options in what this looks like. So now this is showing how long my meeting has existed. I can turn my camera off or on. I can turn my audio off or on. This is how you share your screen, this little up arrow at the screen, click that. And now I have a couple different options. I can choose to share my desktop window. I can also choose to share a PowerPoint that I have open. So there's also some other options too. If you have, more documents open than I do right now, if you had Excel documents or something, you can choose basically to share your screen, or you can share a program, right? So anyway, you just you need it. So it takes 2 clicks. 1 click is that, and then it opens up what your options are, and the next click is choosing one of those, and then it actually pops up. Yeah, this is something we're working on yesterday. These ellipses shows you what some other features are within the meeting. I can again show those devices that we just looked at before. I can show meeting details. There are meeting notes that are activated. You actually have to click it to activate them, but if you want, that basically opens up a wiki for the meeting. So you can click that, start taking meeting notes as a group, and then refer back to them easily. So that's kind of nice, right? Meeting, whatever the date is, 3/26, I think, right? I can go full screen if I want. And I can dial out if I want to. I can record if I want to. And let's say my bandwidth isn't great, I can also turn off incoming video. So let's say everybody has their video on, but it's killing my network at home. I can do that, and that would help out. This chat feature here is the meeting chat. So let's see, I'll add, and the participants over here, let's say I'll add Kyron to it. Now calling Kyron to jump in, and then the meeting chat, just like in Skype, would be here. And you see here, a lot of these features are very similar, right? Like over and over again, you kind of see the same features in text as we saw before in chat. So that's the basics of a meeting. I'm presenting this PowerPoint right now, and actually, I can scroll through and present it that way, directly from a PowerPoint. If I shared my screen, I would just do that, differently. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of what the meeting features are. How you actually schedule a meeting is through this new meeting tab. So again, I can do it 2 ways. I can do it in Outlook. I would recommend if you need to do it for external meetings, I would for external participants, you can do it either way. Well, you can do it either way, but Outlook is an easy way to do that with external participants. You can also do it this way too. So click new meeting, title new meeting. I can, kind of the standard stuff, if it's a location or if it's a Teams meeting, when it is, obviously, some details about it. Now here's kind of a cool feature on the right. This is if I want to add this to an existing channel. So there's different ways that you can have a meeting. You can have a meeting as a one-off, or you can also have a meeting that's embedded into it in the team. When you have a meeting that's embedded into a team, that means that only the team can access that meeting, right? So you can choose to do that here. So if I choose this, the water cooler group, let's say, daily stand-up or something. I want to have it early in the morning at 8. And I want to repeat it every day forever. Schedule that. It churns for a second. And then you'll see over, when we go over to our Teams group in water cooler, this meeting pops up here. So this is the team that I just set up for our group. And whenever somebody, you'll be prompted to join it every day, but also when anybody can just join it just from there, click join, and now that meeting has started. So you can schedule directly through there. You can also, through your Outlook client, you have the join Teams meeting feature as well. That's what this looks like right here. If hopefully you have that in your organizations. If you don't, you might not be able to access it that way. That's something to ask your IT departments if that doesn't pop up. But this little new Teams meeting in your Outlook client just makes it really easy to update, to create meetings directly from Outlook if you're interested in doing that too. So I kind of have a mix personally. I use both, but I started with this because that's the most familiar from what Skype was previously. Okay, any questions around meetings? Kyron, Roy, anything to throw out?
They're asking some great questions, and I'm trying to get to as many of them as possible, but nothing at the moment.
Same.
Cool.
We have like over 250 questions.
Nice. Hey, while I'm thinking of it, something that I haven't shown yet, which I should have shown in the chat section, is mentionings. So, like, let's say that I have, a document that I want to share. So let's use maybe this one I had before. Oh, also let's upload it. Actually, let's browse Teams and channels. So this test form. So you notice I can actually share links. So instead of uploading it, this is what that does, is it's taking it from my Files tab and just highlighting it. So this is just sort of like calling out something that already exists. And I can, this little @sign, the @sign means that I can, it brings up the ability to mention. So if you're familiar with like social media, like with Instagram or Twitter or something with like handles, basically what this is doing is it's selecting someone else that's in the team, and it's telling them, give them a notification that I want them to do something, or I want them to be aware of something. Hey, Big Quinn, check this out. Hey, Karen, do me a favor and notify me in Teams when you have a second. From here, thanks. From here, you'll see I started the conversation, and then I can start a new conversation, or if I have something to say about this specifically, I can hit the reply. So this is actually a really nice feature to know about. A lot of people, will just start new conversations instead of replying, but replying just kind of keeps it all within the same conversation, which is nice. And so, and then that pops in as a reply. When I go to my activity, you see that a couple people have mentioned me, right? So Roxy mentioned me earlier. She made this little GIF and mentioned me, and that little @sign there shows that she mentioned me. Also, Abby reacted to something that I posted earlier with a thumbs up, and that's what that was. And then Kyron just mentioned me too. So like got a little pop-up said Kyron mentioned me, got this little notification one up here. Click that, and that excuse me, that shows me where Kyron popped in and mentioned me.
We have a question here, Adam.
Yep.
Is it possible for meeting participants to have their video on as well? So if we're collaborating, everyone can see each other's faces?
Great question. Absolutely, I should have shown that. But yes, let's see. So, I've got, if I click the Meet Now, well, anyway, but yes, so click Meet Now, and this little thing here is your video camera. You can turn that on or off, and you can have video camera with everyone in your meeting as well. Absolutely. Definitely supports that. So cool. So that's a little bit how notifications work. Roy mentioned me. Awesome. So and that's just activity. So you almost think of activity as kind of your unread. It's bad analogy, but like when you have unread emails in your inbox, the activity pane really serves as sort of your unread notifications in Teams. It's kind of the place that I typically go first to find out what's new and what's going on and what's important to me. It's where I start my day. I used to start it in Outlook in new emails, and now start it in Teams in new activity.
Hey, Adam, can you give a demonstration of how to create a meeting again?
Sure. So you can do it one of two ways. The first way, if you have this enabled, I might recommend starting there just to check it out. But it's very, very similar to what Skype is, right? Like what the Skype plugin into Outlook. You should have if you're using Teams, your organizations, you should have a Teams plugin. Just going there, clicking that, what it'll do is it'll create, I'll just show you what it looks like. It'll create a, whoops. Oh yeah, whoops. There you go. It'll create an email like this. So this is with my Outlook plugin. I created a new, that one right there. Just click that button in my Outlook, and it created like a standard calendar request. And now you notice that this pops in below. So this is the Teams information that we're going to use for the conversation, or for the meeting. Sorry. Do this, add whoever I want to, add Abby, type in the details, fire it off. And then once that meeting is joined, you'll also see that you'll see a meeting pop up. Actually, let's do this. Let's do a new meeting, Kyron. Let's add Kyron to it. Get a schedule. Kyron, jump in, do me a favor. And you'll also see while we're in here, the chat. If I go to my chat activity, you'll also see that this meeting shows the chat that happened. So this is, the meeting's happening up here, and you also see this little calendar icon, which shows all the different meetings. So these are some previous meetings that have been, right? This is the test meeting, this is this meeting, this is this meeting. So this is the meeting that I currently have with Kyron. Shows that I joined the meeting, showed that I added Kyron to it, that it started at 11:12. Kyron and myself are in it right now, and we can chat and share screens and do video and all of that. So this is really the bridge that you have after the fact. So if you have like a weekly meeting, you'll continue to use this same bridge week after week after week, and all of the chats and all of the files and all of the meeting notes and everything that was in that meeting will continue to be populated week after week after week for a recurring meeting. That's what makes it continuous. Okay, any other questions around meetings? Happy to review anything. There's different ways to do meetings, right? You can do a meeting in a channel. You can schedule a meeting externally. You can call people directly. So, so this is, I scheduled this through my calendar tab. That's one way you can do it. I can also go to a chat and call Kyron. That's kind of another way that I could, or Roy, call him right there. That's another way that I could do it. I can go into my Teams channel and the water cooler chat and click this little Meet Now button. And what that does, it just spins up a quick meeting, a quick place for us to chat. Quick chat about, whatever. Meet now, click that, and that pops the meeting in. If I wanted to schedule the meeting later, I could do that there too. So Teams gives you a lot of different ways to do the same thing. The one thing to know about is if you schedule a meeting in a Teams group or in a channel, it's only accessible, just like everything else in the team, it's only accessible to people in the team. Like anyone outside of the team will not be able to access it. They will have no idea that it ever happened, right? Because teams are private. A private team is private by default. But if I do it through my Outlook, then whoever I just pop in there receives it, and then it's like a one-off meeting for that group of people. So that's really the thing to know about. So if you need to schedule something with someone outside of a Teams group, you can do that in the client, but it might be easier just to start in Outlook while you're getting familiar with it. Okay, any other questions around meetings before we get to the next topic? Very good. And then last but not least, just kind of a quick call out that the mobile feature in Teams works really, really well. So if your organization's supports having a device, like a government issued device, or your own personal device with the Teams app on it that you can connect to, highly recommend that you do it. Compared to Skype, it's just way better. Quality of service is better, less drop calls. It's easier to join meetings. It's easier to leave. It's easier to do things within the meeting. The Skype app, everything that you can do in Teams, pretty much almost everything you can do in your Teams group, you can do on the Teams mobile app. So it's a really powerful mobile app, especially if you're you're out in the field, out of the office, doing things on the go. Just highly recommend the mobile app. I think we covered pretty much everything I was planning to cover today. So happy to stay on. We've got about 15 minutes or so if we need it for Q&A. So please keep the questions coming in. And Roy, Kyron, I'm happy to address whatever you think I should.
Yes, and Roxy's here helping us field questions as well.
Awesome.
We have quite a few high volume here.
All right. Anything that I can address for the group?
Question here: when sending an invite to an entire channel, does the whole larger team get it and see the invite?
Yeah, when sending an invite to an entire channel, the whole team does receive the invite. The answer is yes. That technically everyone is invited to it, but of course they can decline if they'd like.
Another one here: when you schedule a meeting in a channel, does it also transfer to your Outlook calendar?
Yes, it does. It always transfers to your Outlook calendar. So the Teams calendar and the Outlook calendar are mirror images of themselves. This will, constantly be updated. If you change something in Outlook, this will be updated just a second or two later, and vice versa. So just think of those really as the same thing. You're just accessing that same calendar information in different ways.
Is there an option to call into a meeting?
There is, but it does depend on how your organizations have Teams configured. A lot of organizations don't have that feature available, but Teams does support full call-in capabilities up to 250 people, by the way. You can have up to 250 people in a standard Teams meeting, and every one of those 250 people could call in if they'd like.
Another one here: if you link a reoccurring meeting to a team, would new members automatically be invited to that reoccurring meeting?
Yeah, that's a great question. Would they be automatically invited? I think the answer is yes. What I can say with certainty is anyone who joins will see, like this meeting here, they'll see that meeting exists. And also whenever the meeting happens, they'll get like a notification that someone started this daily stand-up meeting. So will it be imported to their calendar? I'm not sure if it would or not, to tell you the truth. I can't answer that definitively. But what I would say is they would know that the meeting existed, and whenever someone started the meeting, there'd be a little notification that someone started over here.
Awesome. Is it possible to see all meeting participants on video at the same time?
Not everyone, no. Just because there's limited screen space. You can have up to 250 people on a Teams meeting, so that would be a lot to put on a screen at once. So I believe you can see. Boy, what is it?
The current limit's 4.
4.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's plans to increase that, but that's in the future. We don't know when that'll be available.
And
so currently it's the 4 people that are active. Yeah.
And what it also does do is it spotlights the person who's speaking. So you'll see as people speak that especially if they have their camera on in times such as these, you'll see that it spotlights the people that are speaking.
Good call out. Absolutely.
Awesome. Is there also an option to whiteboard via team or channel?
The best option for whiteboarding is probably going to be the OneNote app. So if you bring the OneNote app in, OneNote's a really nice kind of open workspace. For those who haven't used it, it's basically almost like a whiteboard. Let's use a new notebook. Team Notes. It's almost like a whiteboard application. So it's like an open space. You can change stuff around if you have a stylus and if you have a device that supports style like scribbling and inking with a pen. You can do that as well. But you see, it's kind of like an open workspace, right? Like you can kind of start whatever. This isn't my touch screen, but if I had that, I could draw So if I have this, you know, I could just do it this way. You can kind of draw whatever. So you can just use the mouse like I am right now. You can also use a stylus if you have a device that supports that. But that's probably the best whiteboarding tool that's available in Teams.
We
right
do
now.
have Microsoft Whiteboard that can be shared with the individuals, and you can share that whiteboard across everybody.
Yeah, Roy, that's not available right now. It won't be available for at least a year. So right now, usually OneNote is probably the best bet. Any other questions?
Yes, another question here is, do we have to name the team after it's already been created?
You probably want to stick to the name that you initially start with. I would recommend when you create a new team, stick to the team name. If you change the team name, and the same with channels, it's just because Teams syncs with SharePoint and some of the backend systems, it's just a little bit cleaner if you don't change it. You can change the name, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So think about what you want to name it before naming it. That'd be my suggestion.
Another question here is, how many people can be in a team at once?
Yeah, right now it's up to 7,000. So a lot of people. I'd recommend, I think Teams, it really is the sweet spot is when you have like less than 100 or 200 people in it, you know, groups of people that are working closely together. But if you have a large organization and you just want to kind of keep everybody in the loop and you want to have a lot of channels and you want to have sort of an overall, you know, a team that captures information, you can also, like, you know, some of the management features in a team is, oh yeah, I'm not a manager of that one, is you can clamp down on some of the settings. Like let's say you wanted to have more of like a broadcast team to 5,000 people or something like that. What you could do is you could limit what people could do. So you could say, hey, I actually don't want people to update or delete channels. I don't want them to do all this stuff. I only want owners to be able to do that. And then you could have a team that more pushes information out to larger groups of people, as opposed to being a really close collaboration tool.
Awesome. Is there a way to create a group calendar for our team?
Yeah, so every team has a group calendar by default. You can. That's probably a longer discussion I can do like right at this second, but you know, every team, there exists a group calendar that you can use and you can sync it to your Outlook account. So I guess that's probably the easiest thing to say there. So yes, you can also surface that calendar using a SharePoint web app if you'd like.
I don't see a Teams button on my Outlook calendar, but when I create a team from Teams, will it still sync to my Outlook?
When you create a meeting from Teams?
Yes, sorry, meeting.
Yeah, when you create a meeting from Teams, it will sync to your Outlook and will sync to your Teams client as well. Yep. So, you know, you can create meetings directly through Teams. And if I created this here, this test meeting, if I go to my calendar, let's go to a day view, make it a little bit easier. This test meeting that I created in Teams, right, I just created that 5 or 10 minutes ago, whatever that was with Kyron, that popped up into my Teams calendar and also into my Outlook calendar as well.
Is it possible to share videos or send videos in chat for Teams?
Yeah, it is. So so you can, you know, link to external videos if you'd like. You can also use the Stream application. So if Stream is turned on, if you have access to Stream in your workplace, right here, this is the like that internal YouTube that we spoke about earlier. So whenever you record a meeting, it'll publish it up into Stream automatically. This is really your video repository tool. And you can import both channels and individual videos directly into a Teams as well. So if there's like 1 or 2 videos that you really want to highlight for a team, you could use this app right there, Stream app, pop that in, and you'll see you have the option to add a channel or a video specifically. And so you could do either one. So let's say if you have like you know, like in YouTube, you can have channels, right? You can do the same thing in streams. Let's say you have like a video training series or something like that, Office 365 training series, and you go through, you know, OneDrive and Teams and Stream and all the stuff. Then what you could do is you could link to that channel, and then that whole list of everything would be available right there.
Awesome. Is there a way to move from a chat straight into a video or a teleconference?
Yeah, great question. Just from chat, we have these top buttons up here at top. We have an option to do a video call or to do an audio call, and I can do that with one person. I can also do that with, you know, up to, I think it's 50 people are supported in individual one-on-one chat. So however many people there are, I can do a quick call and then everyone's pulled in. You might not get everybody right because some people might not be available or some people might decline, but whoever's available will accept and hop in.
Awesome. When you add someone, like a coworker to a chat or a team, do they first have to accept it on their end?
They don't. They'll be automatically added, but they can leave at any point if all they have to do is click this button and click leave the team. And if you don't want to be a part of a team, it's that easy to leave.
And I know we've covered this one. I think we have another question, but when you're in a large group chat, can multiple people be in a document and edit it in live time?
Yeah. I don't know what Roy and team. I don't know if you know what the upper limit is, but it's at least like 20 people or something. It might be even more. So yeah, a lot of people can edit at the same time. I think that's one of the big advantages of Teams is being able to co-author documents really, really easily. And you can have a lot of people doing that at once. Sure can.
Can you restrict channels so that only some members of the team can see them?
It's a really good question. It's a really common question. Right now the answer is no, but in the future, don't know, kind of TBD, to be determined when exactly. But in the future, the ability to add private channels will be coming in, but currently that's not enabled.
How do you remove an uploaded document?
Yeah, sure. So very similar to SharePoint. So if I go to Files, let's say this test form, I don't need it anymore. Click that, delete, and it removes it from the team completely. Also, I could choose to download it first and then delete it. Let's say I wanted a local copy, but I wanted to take the copy out of the team. I could do that too.
Awesome. And then the other one here, when you create a team, does it create an associated SharePoint site as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does. Every team has a file repository that's powered by SharePoint in the back end. So every single team that you create will have a general channel, and every general channel will have a files channel, a files tab. And every files tab is powered by SharePoint. So every team that you set up will have that SharePoint site on the back end ready to go.
Awesome. Another question here. What's the maximum number of channels that you can have in a team?
Yeah, that's a good question. There is a limit, but it's a lot.
It's 200.
Okay, very good.
Including deleted ones.
Okay, including deleted ones. So that's a lot of channels.
Let's see. I know we're running close on time. Maybe if I can find one more.
Sure.
Okay, here's a good one. If I delete a team and later need access to some of its data, can I recall that team history or access the data?
Yeah, so you want to be careful about that. The answer is, I guess it depends. I think it goes into a recycling can for 30 days or something. I think you might be able to right afterwards, but in general, I would not delete a team unless you're sure you want to let the team go. That's my message there. It might be retained on the back end, but you might need to get IT involved and fish it out of the recycling bin and stuff like that. Oh, one thing I will say that's related to that though, let's say I have this group that I don't really care about as much, but I want to have access to at some point. Click the ellipses and I can click hide. And that way it's kind of hidden from my view, but I'm still a member of it, but it's hidden from my view. And if I ever need to access it, I can just go there. So instead of deleting teams, I'd recommend hiding teams and just having them available if you need them.
All right, and we're at time there, Adam.
Okay. Well, hey, everyone. I hope this was helpful. Please send feedback along. And we're going to go ahead and close out the live event, but reach out to us if you have anything else. Hope you have a great day and hope you learned something today. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Adam, can I just add one thing before you end? For all of the questions that we didn't get to, because I know that we have a whole bunch, please reach out to your account executive or your Microsoft representative and ask who your assigned customer success manager is, and they'll be able to answer and help you with all of your questions, I promise.
It's a great point. Absolutely. We're here to help. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Till next time.